He kicked her and their sick child out for his mistress. But what no one knew was that the woman he threw into the cold was the secret multi-billionaire who owned the mega company his entire family depended on. In that single shattering moment, the man who believed he held all the power became the one standing on a trap door he had built with his own betrayal. His mistress smirked beside him, confident she'd replace the wife and the sick daughter he had cast aside. But Emily's silence wasn't weakness. It was the calm before a billionaire's brutal revenge. The neighbors whispered. His parents pretended not to see. Even the child coughing in her mother's arms watched her father choose another woman over her. But none of them knew the truth about the woman walking away barefoot in the rain. None of them knew she was the hidden force behind the megacorporation that signed their paychecks. None of them knew the secret identity she'd buried to live a normal life with the very man who betrayed her. He kicked her out, but she owned everything he stood on. He chose his mistress, but he didn't know the wife he discarded held the power to destroy generations of his family. He abandoned his sick child, but that child was the heir to a billion-dollar empire. And now everyone who watched her fall will soon watch her rise in a way that shakes their entire world. But what happens when the wife he rejected returns not as Emily Carter, but as Amelia Warren, the billionaire owner who can crush him with a single signature? But how will his mistress react when the woman she mocked becomes the queen she must bow to? But what will his parents do when they realize the daughter-in-law they despise controls their future? But what brutal revenge will she unleash when she finally reveals who she really is? Emily Carter moved quietly through the small two-bedroom house, the soft creak of the hallway floorboards reminding her of how intentionally simple her life had become. Dawn filtered in through thin curtains, casting pale stripes across the kitchen table where crayons and half-finished drawings were scattered around a plate of uneaten toast. She picked up one scribbled page, Leia's attempt at drawing her family. 3 smiling figures, one with noticeably droopy eyes. Emily pressed it to her chest. 5-year-old Leia had spent most of the night coughing. The sound still echoed faintly down the hall. Emily brewed a pot of coffee and glanced at the time. 6:08 a.m. Daniel still wasn't home. She didn't need to check her phone. She already knew where he was, or rather with whom. Still, she tried calling. One last attempt to put a fractured family morning together. It rang twice before going to voicemail. Again, Emily inhaled slowly, steady and calm. Years of being underestimated had taught her control, but a faint sting flickered under her ribs as she set the phone down. Her real phone from her real life sat locked in a storage unit 2 states away. A titanium device with access to every high-security channel of Warren Global Holdings, the $400 billion empire she secretly owned. She hadn't touched it in 3 years. Not since she decided to live as Emily Carter, a nobody from nowhere. Not since she decided to give love a chance. She thought she'd found it with Daniel. He was charming, then attentive, hungry for success, but still human. At least she believed he was. Then came the job at Warren Global. He walked into the marketing department, unaware his wife owned the building, and something shifted. The entitlement grew. The excuses grew. The resentment grew. Emily felt it all changing, like watching metal rust in slow motion. A small whimper came from the hallway. "Mommy!" Emily rushed toward it. Leia stood there in her unicorn pajamas, face pale, eyes watery, clutching her stuffed bear. "My chest hurts again." Emily gathered her into her arms, feeling the heat radiating off her skin. "I know, baby. We'll go see Dr. Green today." "Where's Daddy?" Emily paused. "Too long. He's working early." Leia nodded as if she already knew better. Emily grabbed the medical bag she kept packed at all times. Every cough, every fever kept her on high alert. She couldn't afford to let anything slip through the cracks with Leia's condition fluctuating the way it did. While she tied her shoes, her phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. Just one sentence. One cruel, sharp sentence. "Don't expect me home for a while. Hannah needs me." Emily froze. Not work, not late dinner. Hannah, he wrote it plainly. This time he wasn't even hiding it. Her fingers tightened around the phone. For a moment, a flicker of Amelia Warren, the ruthless, calculating Aries, stirred behind her calm eyes. But Emily quickly buried it again. "Not yet." She lifted Leia, held her close, and whispered, "Mommy's here. I won't let anything hurt you." But as she opened the door to take her daughter to the hospital, she had no idea Daniel was about to deliver the betrayal that would resurrect everything she had once walked away from. The pediatric ward smelled faintly of antiseptic and lemon disinfectant, a crisp sharpness that always made Emily feel as if she were standing between two worlds. One sterile and controlled, the other chaotic and cruel. Leah lay on the examination table, cheeks flushed with fever, her small fingers gripping the edge of her stuffed bear. Dr. Green reviewed the test results with the same tight expression he'd worn the last 3 visits. "She's stable," he said gently. "But Emily, her immune markers are dropping again. Whatever stress she's under, it's worsening her symptoms." Emily's stomach twisted. Stress. The word cut deeper than he knew. "Are you sure there's no one else who can help you at home?" he asked carefully. "A partner, family?" Emily's lips parted, but no answer came. She simply couldn't push the lie out this time. Dr. Green sighed the way he did when he sensed the truth, but wouldn't push further. "I'll adjust her medication, but she needs rest, peace, stability." 3 things Emily could no longer give her. When they left the hospital, the gray sky hung low, heavy with rain. Emily pulled Hila's jacket tighter and hurried toward the parking lot. That was when she saw Daniel's car. It pulled in fast, too fast, and braked sharply right in front of them. The passenger door swung open before the car even fully stopped. Hannah Monroe stepped out, tall, polished, smirking, wearing Daniel's jacket. Leah shrank into Emily's shoulder. Daniel emerged from the driver's side, adjusting his shirt as if he'd thrown it on in a hurry. His eyes flicked to the hospital bracelet around Leah's wrist. "Oh," he said, annoyed. "You're here." Emily froze mid-step. "Where else would I be?" He ignored the question and walked straight up to her. Hannah leaned against the car with smug satisfaction, arms folded. "We need to talk," Daniel said, voice low. Emily swallowed. "Layla isn't doing well." "Can this wait until?" "No," he snapped. "It can't." Emily glanced down at her daughter, then gently set her into the back seat of their own car with her blanket and bear. Leah's eyes stayed locked on her father's face, searching, hoping, hurting. Emily shut the door softly before turning back to him. Daniel exhaled sharply as though preparing some heroic confession. Instead, he delivered the sentence that would shatter the last piece of hope inside her. "I want you and Leah out of the house by tonight." Emily blinked. "What?" Hannah smirked wider. Daniel didn't hesitate. "Hannah's moving in. I'm done pretending this marriage works. I need someone who supports me. Someone who isn't dragging me down with medical bills and drama." Emily stared at him, speechless. He took her silence as resistance. "Don't make this harder. You and the kid can go to your parents or wherever." "My parents are dead," she whispered. "That's not my problem." Thunder rumbled overhead. For the first time in years, something cold and calculating shifted behind Emily's eyes. A glimpse of the woman she used to be. Daniel didn't notice, but Hannah did. Her smirk faltered. Emily stepped closer, her voice calm. "You sure this is what you want?" "Absolutely," Daniel said. "Good," Emily murmured. "Then don't regret what happens next." A chill ran through Hannah's expression. Emily turned away, lifting Leah into her arms, and walked into the rising storm, unaware that someone across the parking lot had been watching the entire exchange. Someone who recognized Amelia Warren instantly and was already making a call that would change everything. The storm broke open the sky as Emily drove away from the hospital, rain hammering the windshield so hard she could barely see the road. Leah coughed quietly in the back seat, her tiny breaths uneven, every sound echoed like a warning. Emily gripped the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles turned white. "Thrown out with her sick child for his mistress." The words replayed as if carved into her bones. She turned into a secluded shopping center parking lot and parked under the flickering glow of a failing street light. Leah slept in her car seat, now exhaustion dragging her under. Emily brushed her daughter's damp hair away from her forehead. "Mommy's here," she whispered. "I promise I'll fix everything." But promises couldn't erase the raw burn in her chest. She sat there breathing in the damp air until headlights flashed in her rear-view mirror. A car pulled up behind hers, its engine idling. For a moment, she tensed, thinking Daniel had followed her. Then a figure stepped out. A tall man in a black suit holding an umbrella. Her breath caught. Leon Mercer, her grandfather's former right-hand man. The man who had sworn to protect her identity. The man who had helped her disappear into an ordinary life. He approached her car door and knocked twice respectfully. Emily stepped out, pulling her hood over her head. Leon bowed his head slightly. "Miss Warren, no," she whispered. "Not anymore." But the ache in her voice contradicted her words. Leon studied her for a long moment before saying, "I witnessed what happened at the hospital." Emily stiffened. Shame, rage, pain. They all tangled inside her. "I didn't want to be found," she murmured. "Even so," Leon said gently, "I cannot ignore what I saw or what I know you're enduring." Emily turned away, staring at the rain pooling at her feet. Water gathered around her shoes, cold and numbing. "I'm fine." "You're not." Silence. Then Leon's voice softened. "Mr. Warren, Daniel Carter threw his sick child into a storm tonight for a woman who isn't worth the lint in your pocket." A tear slipped down Emily's cheek. "I loved him." "Yes," Leon said, "but he loved only what he thought you were beneath him." That truth pierced deeper than betrayal itself. Leon opened the passenger door of his sedan and retrieved a sleek titanium case, the one she hadn't seen in years, her real phone. He held it out. For a long moment, Emily stared at it as if it were a loaded weapon. "We've kept your seat on the board untouched." Leon said, "Your grandfather's legacy awaits. The entire corporation awaits. The world awaits." "I walked away," Emily said. "You walked away from power," Leon replied. "Not from who you are." Thunder cracked above them. Emily closed her eyes. She could still feel her daughter's feverish skin. She could still hear Daniel's cold words. She could still see Hannah's triumphant smirk, and she knew deep down that the life she left behind wasn't going to stay buried any longer. She reached out and took the phone. Leon exhaled, as if he'd been holding his breath for months. "Shall I inform the board?" he asked. Emily looked at her sleeping daughter. "Not yet," she said softly. "First, I need a place where he can never hurt her again." Leon nodded. "The Warren penthouse is ready whenever you call." Emily held the phone tightly. Tonight, Emily Carter died, and Amelia Warren began to wake. Daniel Carter returned home with Hannah on his arm, as if he had just completed the grandest achievement of his life. The storm still raged outside, thunder rattling the windows of a 2-story house that Emily had quietly paid off years ago, though Daniel believed he had. He swaggered in, tossing his keys on the table. Finally, he muttered, "Freedom." Hannah laughed softly and ran her hand along his jaw. "You did the right thing, baby. That woman and that sick kid were dragging you down. Now you can focus on yourself," Daniel smirked. "Exactly." The lights flickered from the storm. Hannah wandered toward the living room, eyeing the furniture with disdain. "This place needs a complete makeover," she said, wrinkling her nose. "It still screams, 'Poor wife with boring taste.'" Daniel chuckled, but something about the house felt empty. Too empty. For a second, he looked toward the staircase, expecting to hear Leia's soft cough, or see Emily quietly folding laundry the way she always did. But there was nothing, just silence. "Did she take her stuff?" Hannah called. "No idea," Daniel said, trying to sound unaffected. "She'll probably run back to whatever hole she came from." But the silence unsettled him. He wandered down the hall toward the bedroom he once shared with Emily. The room was nearly bare. Only the furniture remained. Emily had taken her clothes, Leia's belongings, and the small hand-painted pictures that had once hung on the walls. Daniel frowned. He hadn't expected her to move so quickly. "So she really left," Hannah said behind him, sounding pleased. Yeah, he shrugged. "Good." But the uneasy feeling kept growing. Hannah slithered past him, examining the drawers. "You know what this means, right? We can finally live our lives. You can focus on climbing higher at Warren Global. Maybe even get promoted soon. You deserve more." Daniel's ego swelled. "I've been working on that. I'm close to catching the eye of the top brass." A loud crack of thunder shook the house. Hannah jumped, annoyed. "GH. Anyway, tomorrow let's meet with the design consultant. Once you're promoted, you won't want to live like this." Daniel nodded, though his gaze lingered on the doorway. Something kept nagging at him, tugging the edges of his mind. Where did Emily go? How did she leave so quickly? Who was helping her? He pushed the thoughts away. "She'll survive," he muttered. "She's used to getting scraps." Hannah laughed darkly. "She should be grateful you stayed as long as you did." He smirked again, leaning in to kiss her, only to stop when he saw a headlight sweep across the front yard. His parents' car pulled in. Daniel groaned. "Great, just what I need." Richard and Marlene Carter rushed inside, soaking wet and frantic. "Daniel," Marlene shrieked. "Did you hear the news?" Daniel frowned. "What news?" His father looked pale, shaken in a way Daniel had never seen. "Warren Global," Richard said breathlessly. "There's been a seismic shift." The anonymous owner. She's resurfaced. Daniel blinked. The owner? Why would I care? His father grabbed his arm. Because she's here in our city tonight. Daniel scoffed. So Marlene's voice trembled. She's young Daniel. And the rumors say she's furious. About what? A new voice spoke from the doorway. A voice none of them expected. That the stranger said stepping inside. Is the question every employee fears tonight. Daniel whipped around. Leon Mercer stood at the door, drenched from the rain, expression unreadable. Hannah's face palled instantly. Who the hell are you? Daniel demanded. Leon stepped forward with calm authority. I'm here with a message, he said. For every member of the Carter family. The room went dead silent. He held Daniel's gaze. Your world, Leon said quietly, is about to change. Thunder growled overhead as Leon Mercer stood in the Carter family's doorway, his presence colder than the storm, soaking through his tailored suit. He didn't wipe the water from his face. He didn't blink. He simply stared at Daniel as if evaluating something small, insignificant. Daniel bristled. I asked who you are. Leon slipped one hand into his pocket and produced a sleek black card embossed with a platinum W. Richard inhaled sharply. That's the Warren insignia. Hannah's breath hitched. She stepped back behind Daniel as though the symbol itself could burn her. Leon nodded once. Correct. I represent Warren Global Holdings. Daniel rolled his eyes. Okay. And why show up at my house? I'm a mid-level employee. You people don't even know we exist. Leon's expression never changed. We know exactly who you are. Marlene clutched her pearls. Is it about the layoffs? Please tell me it's not layoffs. I've given 27 years to the company. Leon spoke without looking at her. No, not layoffs. Richard stepped forward nervously. Is it promotions? Is Daniel being recognized? Is the owner looking to elevate loyal families? The Carters have served Warren Global for 3 generations. Leon cut him off with a small, razor-sharp smile. Yes, you will be recognized. Something in the tone made Daniel's stomach twist. Leon turned toward the living room, walking in like he owned the house. Rainwater dripped from his coat onto the hardwood floor, dotting it like falling ink. Before I explain, Leon said, I need one question answered. He faced Daniel squarely. Where's your wife? Daniel's throat tightened. What does Emily have to do with anything? Hannah snapped. She's gone finally. And that's none of your business. Leon tilted his head as if studying an insect. Everything involving Emily Carter, he said, is my business. A chill crawled up Daniel's spine. Why? Who is she to you? Leon inhaled slowly as though choosing his words with precision. Let's begin with something simple, he said. Do you know where your wife and child are tonight? Daniel scoffed. I don't care. I told her to leave. She'll figure something out. Leon nodded once. So I witnessed. Daniel blinked. You were there. Leon stepped close enough that Daniel had to tilt his chin upward to maintain eye contact. I watched you throw a sick child into a storm, Leon said, voice dangerously calm. I watched you choose your mistress over your own family. I watched you treat a woman who loved you as if she were disposable. Hannah clenched her fists. Excuse me, Leon raised a hand, silencing her effortlessly. Then he delivered the blow. Emily Carter, he said, isn't who you think she is. And tonight the owner of Warren Global returned, and she is not pleased. Daniel frowned. Wait, are you saying Emily knows this owner? Leon's eyes glinted. No, he said. I'm saying the owner knows you. A crack of lightning illuminated Leon's face, sharp and unforgiving. And she has decided, he continued, that the Carters will answer for tonight. Marlene gasped. Why? What did we do? Leon took a slow step back, giving them space but no safety. You mistreated, he said quietly, the one person you should have protected above all others. Daniel's voice wavered. Who? Emily. Leon nodded once. Yes. Daniel opened his mouth to speak, but Leon lifted a single finger. Before anything else happens, Leon said, you should prepare yourselves. Richard swallowed. For what? Leon's expression hardened. For the moment you realize that the woman your family discarded, he said, has always held your futures in her hands. A terrified silence filled the house. Then Leon turned toward the door. She will contact you soon, he said. And when she does, your lives will change. He paused, and then added a final knife twist. But not in the way you hope. Leon walked out into the storm, leaving the Carter family trembling in the home, they no longer realized wasn't theirs. The rain softened into a steady drizzle. By the time Emily pulled into the underground garage of a boutique hotel far outside the neighborhood Daniel believed she belonged to, Leon followed, closely behind his headlights, casting long shadows across the concrete walls. Leah stirred weakly in the back seat, her cheeks still feverish. Emily eased the car door open and lifted her daughter into her arms. The child nestled against her shoulder, trusting, fragile, exhausted. Leon approached with an umbrella. The staff has been instructed to treat you as a private guest under a pseudonym, of course. Emily nodded gratefully. Every ounce of her wanted a moment to breathe. She carried Leah through the discreet VIP entrance, her footsteps echoing softly. The hotel manager, an older woman with silver hair and warm eyes, waited at the elevator with a welcoming smile. "Miss Carter," she said, "your penthouse suite is prepared. We also contacted the on-call pediatric nurse you requested." Emily blinked in surprise. "I didn't request," Leon spoke gently. "I did. You were preoccupied." Emily exhaled, her throat tight with emotion. She didn't have space to feel right now. When once inside the elevator, the manager handed Emily a key card. "If you need anything at all, press the silver button on the phone. Security is stationed outside your door." "Thank you," Emily whispered. When the elevator doors closed, she finally felt a sliver of safety, thin but real. The penthouse opened into a warm, softly lit living room with plush carpets and sweeping city views. Emily laid Leah gently on the master bed as the pediatric nurse arrived with quiet efficiency, checking vitals and adjusting medication. "She'll be okay tonight," the nurse said softly, "but she needs a stress-free environment. No sudden changes." Emily swallowed hard. "I'll give her that." The nurse left, promising to check on them again in the morning. Emily tucked the blankets around her child and brushed a soft kiss across her forehead. "Sleep, my love. You're safe." When she stepped into the living room, Leon stood by the window, hands behind his back. "Emily," he said quietly, "you'll need to decide how to proceed." She sank onto the couch, fatigue pulling at her bones. "I know. Emily Carter cannot protect your daughter anymore," Leon continued. "But Amelia Warren can." Emily closed her eyes, letting the truth settle. It was heavier than she expected. "If I return as Amelia Warren, everything changes. There's no going back." Leon gave a small nod. "That's true." Emily looked up at him. "Why tonight? Why did you come?" Leon hesitated. "Because your grandfather's final instruction to me was clear. If she is ever in danger, if she ever forgets her worth, bring her home." Emily's breath shook. "I thought I could build a quiet life, a normal one." Leon's gaze softened. "You tried and you loved honestly. You were betrayed, yes, but that does not diminish who you are." Emily opened the titanium case. Her real phone lay inside, sleek, cold, and humming with encrypted power. 3 years of messages, 3 years of missed decisions, 3 years of bored inquiries waiting for her approval. Her reflection shone faintly in the dark screen. Not Emily, not the abandoned wife, not the powerless mother. Something inside her shifted. "I'll return," she whispered. "But on my terms." Leon bowed. "Then one more thing, Miss Warren." She looked at him questioningly. "There's been a leak," he said. "Someone within the company discovered your location weeks ago. We intercepted it. But if we hadn't, your identity might already be exposed." Emily stilled. "A leak from who?" Leon hesitated. "We're investigating," he said carefully. "But the source appears to be close to your husband." Emily's blood ran cold. "Close to Daniel?" She repeated. "Yes," Leon said. "Very close." Emily stared out the window, her heart hardening. Another betrayal. One she hadn't even uncovered yet. The city glowed below the penthouse, gold, restless, humming with lives that had no idea power was quietly shifting above them. Emily stood before the panoramic window, her silhouette framed by storm clouds fading into dawn. The titanium phone lay in her hand, heavy with responsibility and buried truth. A leak, someone close to Daniel, someone who knew enough to be dangerous. Emily's heart tightened. There were only a handful of people Daniel spoke to regularly. His parents, his colleagues, and her breath caught. "Hannah." Leon, Emily said without turning. "If the leak is connected to his circle, Hannah Monroe would be the most likely suspect." Leon stepped forward from the shadows, near the hallway. "We considered her, but that's not the only troubling detail." Emily slowly turned. "What else?" 6 months ago, Leon said someone began digging into sealed Warren Global archives. Archives that can only be opened with 2 separate access codes. Emily blinked. 2 codes, one mine, one belonging to your grandfather, lay unfinished before he passed. Emily's pulse quickened. Then how is anyone accessing them now? Leon hesitated just long enough to raise her alarm. We believe, he said carefully, that someone may possess an unauthorized copy of your grandfather's code or has found a way to replicate it. Emily stared at him, cold dread tightening its grip. Who? She whispered. Leon didn't answer immediately. Instead, he handed her a sealed folder. We traced the login attempts to a device registered under a false name, but the billing address is real. Emily opened the folder, her breath hitched. A familiar address stared back at her. Daniel Carter, 1334, Willow Ridge, Lane, her home, her husband's device. Emily sank into the nearest chair, the world tilting slightly. So Daniel has been trying to access Warren Global's internal archives. Why? He doesn't even know. She stopped mid-sentence. Leon watched her closely. He doesn't know who you are, but someone may have told him you're connected. Someone may have hinted you're worth far more than he assumed. Emily's mind raced. Daniel's sudden interest in promotions, his sudden resentment of their simple life, his growing arrogance, his increasing time spent at work with Hannah. What was he trying to access? Emily asked. Financial ledgers, Leon replied. Ownership logs, estate documents, every file connected to the Warren inheritance. Emily pressed a trembling hand to her mouth. He was looking for money. Leon's silence confirmed it. Emily closed the folder slowly. So he didn't just stop loving me. He was trying to figure out how much he could take from me. Leon stepped closer. Miss Warren, you didn't fail. You were targeted. Emily stared ahead, vision blurring. By my own husband. Another thought struck her, sharp and terrifying. Leon, she said quietly. If Daniel was searching for the owner's identity, what if he already knows? What if he planned to use it? Leon held her gaze. That is exactly why we intervened tonight. If he discovered the truth before you were ready, you and your daughter would have been vulnerable. Emily felt something inside her harden. A door closing, a wall rising, a flame sparking. No more running. No more hiding. No more letting Daniel's choices shape her life. Emily stood tall. Prepare the board, she said. Leon nodded but didn't bow. He grinned, proud, fierce, relieved. Welcome back, Ms. Warren. But just as Emily turned to check on sleeping, her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Emily opened it. You think you can leave me and disappear? You're coming back home, Emily. We're not done. Daniel. Emily stared at the screen, pulse steadying into something cold and resolute. No, she whispered. We're just getting started. By sunrise the storm had passed, leaving the city washed clean and gleaming. But inside the glass fortress of Warren Global's headquarters, the air was thick with tension. Executives filed through the vast marble lobby, whispering in tight clusters. Every rumor they'd heard overnight had rattled them. The owner has returned. The Hidden Eyes is back. The board is being summoned. Someone must have angered her. And as dozens of anxious faces crowded into the executive conference chamber, none of them knew the reason for the owner's fury was a cheating husband and a sick child. Leon Mercer stood at the head of the table, checking his watch. Ladies and gentlemen, she will join us shortly. The murmurs intensified. She is the owner, actually a woman. That means the rumors were true. Who betrayed her? What happened? Before anyone could press further, the doors opened. Silence fell like a blade. Emily, no. Amelia Warren stepped inside. Her presence alone commanded the room. She wore a fitted black coat, simple yet unmistakably elegant, her hair in a sleek low knot. Her eyes, calm but focused, carried the kind of gravity that made men straighten their suits and women steal their breaths. No one recognized her as the quiet wife of a mid-level employee. No one suspected the woman who once walked these halls unnoticed now commanded the entire empire. Good morning, Amelia, said her voice steady and resonant. Thank you for assembling on such short notice. The room held its breath. She approached the head of the table, her rightful seat, and rested her hands on the polished surface. You have all served this company faithfully, she continued, and today marks the beginning of a new era. Nervous glances exchanged across the room. Leon stood at her side, a silent declaration of loyalty. For 3 years, Amelia said, I stepped away from my responsibilities to pursue a life of anonymity, a life without wealth or power, a life where I believed love could exist without condition. A ripple of confusion swept the executives, but they didn't dare question her. That experiment, Amelia, said, voice quiet but firm, has ended. The boardroom fell into deeper silence. One executive cleared his throat tentatively. Ms. Warren, if I may ask what prompted your return? Amelia's eyes darkened. A betrayal. Whispers surged, startled and sharp. But Amelia raised a hand and silence snapped back like a leash. There has been a breach, she continued. Someone has been attempting unauthorized access to private inheritance archives. Someone with ties to an employee in this very building. Stiff postures tightened grips on pens, swallowed breaths. Leon will brief you all, she said. There will be a company-wide investigation. Leon stepped forward. We traced login attempts to a device belonging to Daniel Carter, employee of the marketing department. Gasps filled the room. Someone muttered, "See Carter? Isn't he the one bragging about getting a promotion soon? I heard he claimed he had connections to the Warren family. He's married, isn't he? Or was?" Rumors collided like sparks. Amelia kept her expression neutral, though her chest tightened slightly. These people didn't know the child he'd abandoned for someone else. The woman he betrayed, the storm he'd caused. They only knew of a breach. Leon continued, all access linked to him is being restricted as of this moment. Executives nodded, whispering more urgently now. Amelia looked around the room slowly. There will be consequences. As she turned to leave, a young board member raised his hand, hesitant but brave. Miss Warren, may we ask what your next steps are? Amelia paused at the doorway, her profile calm and lethal. My next step, she said, is to handle the matter personally. A murmur ran through the room, and she added, eyes narrowing, to ensure the man who violated my trust never sets foot in this company again. The doors closed behind her. Leon followed, a slight smile tugging at his lips. They're terrified. They should be, Amelia replied. But not for the reasons they think. What do you mean? Amelia exhaled slowly. Daniel Carter isn't the only one who betrayed me, she said. Someone else helped him. Leon stilled. Do you know who? Emily's jaw tightened. Yes, she whispered. I think I do. Amelia returned to the penthouse with an unshakable calm, the kind that only came before a storm one chooses to unleash. The moment she stepped inside, she checked on Leah first. Her daughter slept peacefully, cheeks less flushed, breathing steadier. Relief spread through Emily's chest, grounding her. But the peace didn't last. Her phone buzzed. A second message from Daniel. Stop ignoring me. Come home now. Don't make me come find you. Emily set the phone down with a slight shake of her head. Daniel still believed he controlled the narrative, still believed she was the one who should fear him. He had no idea the empire he relied on was already slipping out from under his feet. Leon entered the penthouse, quietly carrying several files. Ms. Warren, I have the results of the internal investigation. Emily turned to face him. Tell me. Leon laid out 3 folders on the marble countertop. Folder 1, he said, tapping it, contains the digital footprints leading back to Daniel's device. Emily nodded. She expected that. Folder 2, Leon continued, details the attempts made over the past 6 months. They grew bolder, more frequent. Emily's jaw clenched. And folder 3, Leon's expression tightened. Folder 3 is where things become more complicated. Emily opened the 3rd folder. Inside were printed screenshots, email exchanges, message logs, encrypted data fragments, but one name repeated in every trace. Hannah Monroe. Emily's heart didn't shatter this time. It sharpened. Hannah, Emily whispered. Of course, Leon nodded. She was the one searching for the owner's identity. She was the one who suspected the owner might be connected to Daniel's wife. She knew Daniel was married, Emily murmured. She knew I existed. She knew I was struggling financially, and she pushed him to leave me. Leon exhaled. It appears Daniel was only half the betrayal. Hannah was the architect. Emily closed the folder with a soft click. Hannah used him, she said. She wanted access. She wanted the power, the status, the wealth she thought he could bring her. And she believed, Leon added, that if she could uncover the owner's identity, she could charm her way into the empire or manipulate it. Emily's eyes darkened. She didn't realize the owner was the woman she kicked aside, the one she mocked. The one whose child she called a burden. Leon hesitated. There's one more thing. Emily looked up sharply. What? He handed her one last sheet of paper. A recent transaction record. Hannah Monroe had been receiving money from an anonymous account. Large amounts monthly for almost 2 years. Emily frowned. She was being paid by who? Leon's voice dropped. We traced the account. A pause. It belongs to Richard Carter. Emily froze. Daniel's father. Her throat tightened. He paid her. Leon nodded gravely. It appears Hannah and Richard Carter have been connected far longer than Daniel knows. Richard funded her, encouraged her, fed her information about you. Emily felt a sick cold wave sweep over her. So Daniel's father, his own mother, even were helping Hannah push me out. Leon nodded. They wanted a daughter-in-law who could elevate them at Warren Global. And they believed Hannah could. They believed Emily Carter was worthless. Emily closed her eyes. Years of forced smiles, years of polite holiday dinners, years of pretending they accepted her. And all along they had been plotting her removal. Emily inhaled deeply, letting the fury settle into clarity. Leon, she said softly. Schedule a meeting with all three of them. Leon blinked. Daniel, Richard, and Hannah. Yes, Emily said. Together. His brows lifted. As you wish. Emily stared out the window at the city she quietly owned. It's time they meet Amelia Warren, she said, voice turning cold, and face what they've done. The meeting room on the 60th floor was eerily quiet, far too quiet for the storm about to unfold. Rain streaked down the massive glass windows, each drop a subtle warning. A circular table sat in the center, polished to a mirror shine. 3 chairs faced one side. Leon stood near the entrance, hands behind his back. They're here. Amelia nodded once. The door opened. Daniel entered first, bewildered and defensive. Richard followed, stiffly pale and trembling, while Marlene clutched her handbag as if it were a lifeline. Hannah walked in last, heels sharp, posture confident, eyes darting around the luxurious room with greedy awe. While Hannah whispered, "This place is incredible. Is this where the Warren owner holds private meetings?" Leon didn't answer. Daniel stepped forward, frowning. "What is this? Why did you drag us here? Where's Emily?" Emily stepped from the shadows. Daniel's mouth parted. Richard inhaled sharply. Marlene's eyes widened. Hannah went completely still. Emily walked slowly toward them, heels clicking like a countdown. "I'm right here," she said. Hannah recovered, first sneering. "You don't belong in a place like this." Emily smiled faintly. "You're right. Emily Carter doesn't." She reached the head of the table. "But Amelia Warren does." The room froze. Daniel blinked. What did you just say?" Emily held his gaze. "My full name is Amelia Warren, Aries of Warren Global Holdings, owner of this building, and your now former employer." Hannah's knees nearly buckled. No, that's impossible. You can't be the owner." "You're what?" Emily asked softly. "Poor plane beneath you." Hannah's face flushed scarlet. Daniel stumbled backward. "Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you?" Emily lifted a hand, silencing him instantly. "You threw your sick child into a storm," she said quietly. For her, she turned her gaze to Hannah, whose eyes filled with rising terror. "And you," Emily continued, "dug into sealed files, tried to uncover my identity, and accepted money from Richard Carter to help push me out." Hannah's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. "I didn't know it was you." "That's the problem," Emily said. "You never cared who I was. You only cared about what you could take." Richard stepped forward, sweating. "Amelia, listen. We didn't mean for things to go this far. We only wanted to help Daniel." Emily cut him off with one sharp look. "You paid his mistress. You sabotaged your own daughter-in-law. You endangered your granddaughter by encouraging this affair." Marlene collapsed into her chair. "Please don't fire us. We'll lose everything." Emily's voice turned cold. "You should have thought of that before you chose greed over decency." Daniel lunged forward desperately. "Emily, Amelia, whatever. Just listen to me. I made a mistake." Emily stared at him. "A mistake?" she echoed. "Is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is burning dinner. You didn't make a mistake, Daniel. You made choices." Her voice turned sharper than steel. "You chose to cheat. You chose to abandon us. You chose to throw your sick daughter into a storm. You chose to treat me as worthless." Daniel's eyes filled with panic. "Please don't do this. We can fix it. I'll leave Hannah." Emily laughed softly, a sound with no warmth. "You'll leave Hannah?" "Oh, Daniel. You already did." Hannah gasped. "What? No, Daniel. Don't." "No." Emily said, "You misunderstand." She turned to Leon. "Execute the terminations. Leon nodded and placed 3 folders on the table. One labeled Daniel Carter, one Richard Carter, one Marlene Carter. Effective immediately, Emily said you are all terminated from every division of Warren Global and blacklisted from every subsidiary and partner organization. Daniel's face collapsed. No, this is my whole career. It was Emily corrected. Marlene sobbed. Richard buried his face in his hands. Hannah backed toward the exit. You can't do this. Hannah choked. Emily's eyes were ice. I already have. Security entered quietly. Daniel made one final attempt. Amelia, don't take my daughter away. Emily stepped closer, her expression unreadable. I won't, she said softly. You threw her away yourself. The guards escorted them out as Daniel screamed her name, shrieking promises, threats, regrets. Emily didn't flinch. When the door finally closed, Leon approached. It's done, he said. Emily exhaled, steady and calm. No, this is the beginning. She turned toward the window where the city sprawled beneath her. For Leah, she whispered, she will grow up safe, loved, protected, and no one will ever harm her again. Thunder rolled in the distance, but this time Emily wasn't afraid of a storm. She was the storm.